Recover quickly when your habits break down. No matter how consistent you are with your habit, it is inevitable that life will interrupt you at some point. Perfection is not possible before long. An emergency will pop up. You get sick, or you have to travel for work, or your family needs a little more of your time. Whenever this happened to me, I try to remind myself of a simple rule: never miss twice. If I miss one day, I'll try to get back into as quickly as possible. Missing one workout happens, but I'm not going to miss two in a row. Maybe I'll eat an entire pizza, but I follow it up with a healthy meal. I can't be perfect, but I can avoid a second lapse. As soon as one streak ends, I get started on the next one. The first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It is the spiral of repeated mistakes that follow. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is a start of a new habit. This is a distinguishing features between winners and losers. Anyone can have a bad performance, a bad workout, or a bad day at work. But when successful people fail, they rebound quickly. The breaking of a habit doesn't matter if the reclaiming of it is fast. I think this principle is so important that I'll stick to it even if I can't do a habit as well or completely as I would like. Too often we fall into an all or nothing cycle with our habits. The problem is not slipping up. The problem is thinking that if you can't do something perfectly, then you shouldn't do it all. You don't realize how valuable it is to just show up on your bad or busy day. Lost days hurt you more than successful days help you. If you start with $100, then a 50% gain will take you a $150, but you only need a 33% loss to take you back to $100. In other words, avoiding a 33% loss is just as valuable as achieving 50% gain. As Charlie Munger say, the first rule of compounding: never interrupt it unnecessarily. This is why the bad workouts are often the most important one. Sluggish days and bad workouts maintain the compound gains you accrued from previous good days. Simply doing something: 10 squats, 5 sprints, a push up, anything really is huge. Don't put up a zero. Don't let losses eat into your compounding. Furthermore, it's not always about what happens during the workout. It's about being the type of person who doesn't miss workout. It's easy to train when you feel good, but it's crucial to show up when you don't feel like it. Even if you do less than you hope, going to the gym for 5 minutes may not improve your performance, but it reaffirms your identity. The all or nothing cycle of behavior change is just one pitfall that can derail your habit. Another potential danger, especially if you are using a habit tracker, is measuring the wrong thing. Knowing when and when not to track a habit. Say you are running a restaurant and you want to know if your chef is doing a good job. One way to measure success is to track how many customers pay for a meal each day. If more customers come in, the food must be good. If fewer customers come in, something must be wrong. However, this one measurement, daily revenue, only give a limited picture of what really going on. Just because someone pays for a meal doesn't mean they enjoy the meal. Even dissatisfied customers are unlikely to dine and dash. In fact, if you are only measuring revenue, the food might be getting worse, but you are making up for it with marketing or discount or some other method. Instead, it may be more effective to track how many customers finish their meal, or perhaps the percentage of customers who leave a generous tip. The dark side of tracking a particular behavior is that we become driving by the number rather than the purpose behind it. If your success is measured by quarterly earning, you will optimize sales, revenue, and accounting for quarterly earning. If your success is measured by a lower number on the scale, you will optimize for a lower number on the scale, even if that means embarrassing crash diets, juice cleanses, and a fat loss pills. The human mind wants to win whatever game is being played. This pitfall is evident in many areas of life. We focus on working long hours instead of getting meaningful work done. We care more about getting 10,000 steps than we do about being healthy. We teach for standardized tests instead of empathizing learning, curiosity, and critical thinking. Should be optimized for what we measure. When we choose the wrong measurement, we get the wrong behavior. This is sometimes referred to as Goodhart law, named after the economics Charles Goodhart. The principle states when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Measurement is only useful when it guides you and adds content to a larger picture, not when it comes you. Each number is simply one piece of feedback in the overall system. In in your data driving world, we tend to overvalue members and undervalue anything ephemeral, soft, and difficult to quantify. We mistakenly think the factors we can measure are the only factors that exist, but just because you can measure something doesn't mean it is the most important thing, and just because you can't measure something doesn't mean it's not important at all. All of these to say it's crucial to keep habit tracking in its proper place. It can feel satisfying to record a habit and track your progress, but the measurement is not the only thing that matters. Furthermore, there are many ways to measure progress. Sometimes it helps to shift your focus to something entirely different. This is why non scale victories can be effective for weight loss. The numbers on the scale may be stubborn, so if you focus solely on that numbers, your motivation will sag. But you may notice that your skin looks better, or you wake up earlier, or your sex drive got a boost. All of these are valid ways to track your improvement. If you are not feeling motivated by the numbers on the scale, perhaps it's time to focus on a different measurement, one that gives you more signals of progress. No matter how you measure your improvement, habit tracking offers a simple way to make your habits more satisfying. Each measurement provides a little bit of evidence that you are moving in the right direction. A brief movement of immediate pleasure good job for a job well done. Chapter summary. One of the most satisfying feeling is the feeling of making progress. A habit tracker is a simple way to measure whether you did a habit, like marketing an X on a calendar. Habit tracker, other visual forms of measurement, can make you habit satisfying by providing clear evidence of your progress. Don't break the chain. Try to keep your habit streak alive. Never miss choice. If you miss one day, try to get back on track as quickly as possible. Just because you can measure something doesn't mean it's the most important thing. How an accountability partner can change everything. After serving as a pilot in the World War II, Roger Fisher attended Harvard Law School and spent 34 years specializing in negotiation and conflict management. He founded the Harvard Negotiation Project and worked with numerous countries and world leaders on peace resolution, hostage crisis, and diplomatic compromises. But it was in the 1970s and 1980s that the threat of nuclear war escalated that Fisher developed perhaps his most interesting idea. At the time, Fisher was focused on designing strategies that could prevent a nuclear war, and he had noticed a troubling fact. Any sitting president would have access to launch codes that could kill millions of people but would never actually see anyone die because he would always be thousands of miles away. My suggestion was quite simple. He wrote in 1981, put that nuclear code numbers in a little capsule and then implant that capsule right next to the heart of a volunteer. The volunteer would carry with him a big, heavy butcher knife as he accompanied the president. If ever the president wanted to fire nuclear weapon, the only way he could do so would be for him first, with his own hands, to kill one human being. The president said, George, I am sorry, but tens of millions must die. He has to look at someone and realize that what that is. What an innocent that is. Blood on the White House carpet. It's reality brought home. When I suggest this to friends in the Pentagon, they said, my God, that's terrible. Having to kill someone would distort the president's judgment. He might never push the button. Throughout our discussion of the fourth law of behavior change, we have covered the importance of making good habits immediately satisfying. Fisher's proposal is an inversion of the fourth law, make it immediately unsatisfying. Just as we are more likely to repeat an experience when the ending is satisfying, we are also more likely to avoid an experience when the ending is painful. Pain is an effective teacher. If a failure is painful, it gets fixed. If a failure is relatively painless, it gets ignored. The more immediate and more costly a mistake is, the faster you will learn from it. The threat of a bad review forces plumber to be good at his job. The possibility of a customer never returning makes restaurant create good food. The cost of cutting the wrong blood vessel, making a surgeon master human anatomy and cut carefully. When the consequences are severe, people learn quickly. The more immediate the pain, the less likely the behavior. If you want to prevent bad habits and eliminate unhealthy behavior, then adding an instant cost to the action is a great way to reduce their odds. We repeat bad habits because they serve us in some way, and that makes them hard to abandon. The best way I know to overcome this predicament is to increase the speed of the punishment associated with the behavior. There can be gap between the action and the consequences. As soon as action incur an immediate consequences, behavior begin to change. Customer pay their bills on time. When they are charged a late fees, students show up to class when their grade is linked to attendance. We'll jump through a lot of hoop to avoid a little bit of immediate pain. There is, of course, a limit to this. If you are going to rely on punishment to change behavior, then the strength of the punishment must match the relative strength of the behavior it is trying to correct. To be productive, the cost of procrastination must be greater than the cost of action. To be healthy, the cost of laziness must be greater than the cost of exercise. Getting fined for smoking in a restaurant or failing to recycle adds consequences to an action. Behavior only shift if the punishment is painful enough and reliable in force. In general, the more local, tangible, concrete, and immediate the consequences, the more likely it is to influence individual behavior. The more global, intangible, vague, and delayed the consequences, the less likely it is to influence individual behavior. Thankfully, there is a straightforward way to add an immediate cost to any bad habit. Create a habit contract. The habit contract, the first seat belt law was passed in New York on December 1, 1984. At the time, just 14% of people in the United States regularly wore a seat belt, but that was all about to change. Within 5 years, over half of the nation had seat belt law. Today, wearing a seat belt is enforceable by law in 49 of the 50 states. And it's not just the legislation, the number of people wearing seat belts has changed dramatically as well in 2016. Over 88% of America buckle up each time they got in a car. In just over 30 years, there was a complete reversal in the habit of millions of people. Laws and regulation is an example of how government can change our habit by creating a social contract. As a society, we collectively agree to abide by certain rules and then enforce them as a group. However, a new piece of legislation impact behavior, seatbelts law, banning smoking inside restaurant, mandatory recycling. It is example of a social contract shaping our habit. The group agrees to act in a certain way, and if you don't follow along, you will be punished. Just as government use law to hold citizens accountable, you can create a habit contract to hold yourself accountable. A habit contract is a verbal or written agreement in which you state your commitment to a particular habit and the punishment that will occur if you don't follow through. Then you find one or two people to act as your accountability partner and sign off on the contract with you. Brienne Harris, an entrepreneur from Nashville, Tennessee, was the first person I saw put these strategy into action. Shortly after the birth of his son, Harris realized he wanted to shed a few pounds. He wrote up a habit contract between himself, his wife, and his personal trainer. The first version read, Brian, number one objective for Q1 for 2017 is to start eating correctly again so he feels better, look better, and is able to hit his long-term goal of 200 pounds at 10% body fat. Below that statement, Harris laid out a roadmap for achieving his ideal outcome. Phase 1, get back to a strict slow carb diet in Q1. Phase 2, start a strict macronutrition tracking program in Q2. Phase 3, refine and maintain the detail of his diet and workout program in Q3. Finally, he wrote out each of the daily habit that would get him to his goal. For example, write down all food that he consumed each day and weight himself each day. And he listed the punishment if he failed. If Brent doesn't do these two items, then the following consequences will be enforced. He will have to dress up each workout and each Sunday morning for the rest of the quarter. Dress up is defined as not wearing jeans, t-shirt, hoodies, or shorts. He will also give Joey, his trainer, $200 to use as he see fit if he misses one day of logging food. At the bottom of the page, Harris, his wife, and his trainer all signed the contract. My initial reaction was that a contract like this seems overly form and unnecessary special the signature, but Harris convinced me that signing the contract was an indication of seriousness. Anytime I skip this part, he said, I start slacking almost immediately. 3 months later, after hitting his target for Q1, Harris upgraded his goals. The consequences escalated to if he missed his carbohydrate and protein target, he had to pay his trainer $100, and if he failed to weigh himself, he had to give his wife $500 to use as she saw fit. Perhaps most painfully, if he forgot to run a sprint, he had to dress up for a week every day and wear an Alabama hat the rest of the quarter, the bitter rivals of his beloved Obama team. The strategy worked with his wife and trainer acting as accountability partner with the habit contract clarifying exactly what to do each day. Harris lost the weight. To make bad habit unsatisfying, your best option is to make them painful in the moment. Creating a habit contract is a straightforward way to do exactly that. Even if you don't want to create a full-blown habit contract, simply having an accountability partner is useful. The comedian Margaret Cho writes a joke or song every day. She does the song a day challenge with a friend, which helps them both stay accountable. Knowing that someone is watching can be powerful motivator. You are less likely to be procrastinate or give up because there is an immediate cause. If you don't follow through, perhaps they'll see you as untrustworthy or lazy. Suddenly, you are not only falling to uphold your promise to yourself, but also falling to uphold your promise to others. You can even automate this process. Thomas Frank, an entrepreneur in Boulder, Colorado, wakes up at 5:55 each morning, and if he doesn't, he has a tweet automatically scheduled that was it's 6:10 and I am not up because I'm lazy. Reply to this for $5 via PayPal, limit 5, assuming my alarm didn't malfunction. We are always trying to present our best self to the world. We comb our hairs and brush our teeth and dress ourselves carefully because we know these habits are likely to get a positive reaction. We want to get good grades and graduate from top schools to impress potential employers and mates and our friends and family. We care about the opinions of others around us because it helps if others like us. This is precisely why getting an accountability partner or signing a habit contract can work so well. Chapter summary. The inversion of the fourth law of behavior change is make it unsatisfying. We are less likely to repeat a we are less likely to repeat a bad habit if it is painful or unsatisfying. An accountability partner can create an immediate cost to an action. We care deeply about what others think of us, and we do not want others to have a lesser opinion of us. A habit contract can be used to add a social cause to any behavior. It makes the cause of violation, your promise is public and painful. Knowing that someone else is watching you can be a powerful motivator. How to create a good habit? The first law, make it obvious. 1.1, fill out the habit scorecard. Write down your current habit to become aware of them. 1.2, use the implementation intention. I will behavior at time in location. 1.2, use habit stacking. After current habit, I will new habit. 1.4, designing your environment. Make the cues of good habit obvious and visible. The second law, make it attractive. 2.1, use temptation bundling peer an action you want to do with an action you need to do. 2.2, join a culture where your desired behavior is a normal behavior. 2.3, create a motivational ritual. Do something you enjoy immediately before a difficult habit. The third law, make it obvious, make it easy. 3.1, reduce friction, decrease the number of steps between you and your good habit. 3.2, prime the environment. Prepare your environment to make future action easier. 3.3, master the decisive movement. Optimize the small choices that deliver outsized impact. 3.4, use the 2-minute rule. Downscale your habit until they can be done in 2 minutes or less. 3.5, automate your habit. Invest in technology and in one-time purchases that lock in future behavior. The fourth law, make it satisfying. 4.1, use enforcement. Give yourself an immediate reward when you complete your habit. 4.2, make doing nothing enjoyable when avoidable. A bad habit, design a way to see the benefit. 4.2, use a habit tracking. Keep track of your habit stack and don't break the chain. 4.4, never miss twice. When you forget to do a habit, make sure you get back on track immediately. How to break a bad habit? Inversion of first law, make it invisible. 1.5, reduce exposure. Remove the cues of your bad habit from your environment. Inversion of second law, make it unattractive. 2.4, reframe your mindset, highlight the benefit of avoiding your bad habit. Inversion of the third law, make it difficult. 3.6, increase friction, increase the number of steps between you and your bad habit. 3.7, use a commitment device. Restrict your future choices to the ones that benefits you. Inversion of the fourth law, make it unsatisfying. 4.5, get an accountable partner, ask someone to watch your behavior. 4.6, create a habit contract, make the cost of your bad habit public and painful. Advanced tactics, how to go from being merely good to being truly great. The truth about talent, when genes matter and what they don't, and when they don't. Many people are familiar with Michael Phillips, who is widely considered to be one of the greatest athletes in history. Phillips has won more Olympics medals not only than any swimmer but also more than any Olympian in any sport. Fewer people know the name Hitchem L. George, but he was a fantastic athlete in his own right. Al George is a Moroccan runner who holds two Olympian gold medals and is one of the greatest medal distance runner of all time. For many years, he had the world record in the mile, 1500-meter and 200-meter races at the Olympic Games in the Athens, Greece in 2004. He won gold in the 15,000 meters and 5,000 meter races. These two athletes are widely different in many ways. For starters, one completed on land and other in water. But most notable, they differ significantly in height. L. George is 5 feet 9 inches tall. Phillips is 6 feet 4 inches tall. Despite this 7-inch difference in height, the two men are identical in one respect. Michael Phillips and H.M. L. George wear the same length inseam on their pant. How is this possible? Phillips has relatively short legs for his height and a very long torso, the perfect build for swimming. Al George has incredibly long legs and a short upper body, an ideal frame for distance running. Now imagine if these world-class athletes were to switch sports, giving his remarkable athleticism, and Michael Phillips becomes an Olympic caliber distance runner with enough training. It's unlikely at peak fitness. Phillips weighed 194 pounds, which is 40% heavier than L. George, who competed at an ultra light 138 pound. Taller runner are a heavier runner, and every extra pound is a curse when it comes to distance. Running against athlete competition, Phillips would be doomed from the start. Similar, L. George might be one of the best runner in history, but it's doubtful he would ever qualify for the Olympic as a swimmer. Since 1976, the average height of Olympic gold medalists is the men 1500-meter runs is 5 feet 10 inches. In comparison, the average height of Olympic gold medalists in the men's 100-meter freestyle swim is 6 feet 4 inches. Swimmers 100-meter freestyle swim is 6 feet 4 inches. Swimmers tend to be tall and have long back and arms, which are ideal for pulling through the water. Al George would be at severe disadvantage before he ever touched the pool. The secret to maximizing your odds of success is to choose the right field of competition. This is just as true with habit change as it is with sports and business. Habits are easier to perform and more satisfying to stick with when they align to your natural inclination and abilities, like Michael Phillips in the pool or HML George on the track. You want to play a game where the odds are in your favor. Embarrassing this strategy requires the acceptance of the simple truth that people are born with different abilities. Some people don't like to discuss this fact. On the surface, your gene seems to be fixed, and it's no fun to talk about things you cannot control. Pulse phrases like biological determinism makes it sound like certain individuals are destined for success and others doomed to failure. But this is a short sighted view of the influence of gene on behavior.